The following episode of the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters was originally broadcast on August 6th, 2024.
It's time now for Business Matters, brought to you by the Maui Chamber of Commerce. And now, here's your host, the president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, Pam Toompop. Good morning, Pam.
Good morning, Gary. How are you this morning?
Very good. It's another hot, sunny day down here. Boy, has it been humid down here, too.
Oh, we're having the same thing in Pukalani. It's gorgeous. We're very grateful, but very warm.
Yes, it is.
People are starting to turn the air conditioning on. And we don't do that very often up country. Well, thank you so much for opening the show. And we want to welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us for Business Matters this morning. We are going to have a fun morning this morning because we're going to speak with Daly of MEO Small Business Development Center, who is doing amazing things to help entrepreneurs and help businesses pivot during this time, as well as we're going to talk to one of our local manufacturers, Vitalitea, who has been growing exponentially, and we've been able to feature them in a number of chamber programs recently. And so we're going to be excited to talk to Natasha a little later on in the show. But let me tell you about David. He is the MEO Small Business Development Center, known as the BDC, the Business Development Center, and he's been that director there since 2016. So quite a long time. His background includes small business ownership on Maui and California. David also has a background in both finance and lending as a residential loan officer for a local Maui firm and a licensed financial advisor for Edward Jones. David was the recipient of the 2017 Small Business Administration's Award for Small Business Advocate for Minorities in Maui County. And as the director of MEO's Business Development Center, David and his team provide small business education, one-on-one technical assistance, and micro-lending to entrepreneurs in Maui County, all things that are greatly needed at this time. So good morning and welcome, David.
Good morning, Pamela. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our great pleasure. We love having you on this show. I'm thinking we need to get you on a quarterly basis.
I would enjoy that. And I have to tell you, thank to you and Gary for the Hawaii 5-0 lead-in. I like that.
It's kind of fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a little pick-me-up. I like it, too. Gary gave up with that. He's awesome. So let's talk about, all things MEO, but let's start with some of the amazing business grants that you folks have been doing to help people.
Sure. So our program was asked to help out with what they call the Maui Disaster Small Business Bridge Grant Program, which was really put in place to try and help small businesses affected by the fire, to give them just a little of infusion of capital to see if it, would be able to, I guess the term bridge comes into play, but it really doesn't bridge from, losing everything or a good amount of business to actually being back in business and being normal. So bridge is a word I wouldn't use, but it's a small grant, and it was for all businesses that were either directly or indirectly affected by the wildfires. So, we're coming up on our anniversary, and it seems like it's been more than 1 year since this has happened. But the bridge grant is open for any business that was affected. So it could have been loss of equipment, it could have been loss of commercial space, it could have been loss of revenue, all of those things. So literally island-wide businesses were eligible to apply for this particular grant, which had awards that ranged anywhere from we've done awards for smaller home-based businesses that range anywhere from $500 for us all the way up to $10,000. And it's all based on the business's gross revenue. So it's fair and equitable for the size of the business and the amount of revenue that the business was generating when they were affected.
Yeah, well, I think that's really amazing. And, I'll tell you a funny story. On some of the SBA side, we've been hearing that because of, some of the businesses during the wildfire were completely devastated. But before that, they were at above a small business range in terms of their revenue. But after the wildfires, they totally were in the small business range. But because of the timing of what they looked at, we've seen some who are qualifying for assistance. So it's been kind of an interesting journey as we continue to navigate through our recovery to see how that's being done. But it's so good to know that you were able to help a number of businesses get this money and help them move forward. Do you know how many grants you were able to give out?
Well, we're still open and accepting grants. We still have money available out of our original $5.5 million. And we're looking at, I think we have pretty much touched, which means we have awarded and or funded almost 620 grants so far. So 620 small businesses.
Fantastic. That is really amazing. Okay, and so you're still open. Is there a deadline that people would have to connect with you by? I mean, obviously we want to have them connect with you right away so that you can get needed assistance.
Yeah. There is a hard deadline, which is December 31st.
Okay.
And obviously there would be also, if funds were to be exhausted, which at the current pace that we are at, and when I say we, there's really two nonprofits on Maui that are handling this grant. One of them is MEO, and it's for smaller businesses that gross revenue is under $300,000. And then there's Maui Economic Development Board in Kihei that is handling these grants for all the larger businesses that gross from $301,000 all the way up to there is no limit for the amount of income to qualify for a grant. But our grant program tops out at $10,000 award, and their grant portion of the program tops out at a $20,000 award. So essentially what you're seeing is that our overall numbers are far greater of businesses served, but the award amounts are much lower. So we will still have money available if we go through all of our current applicants. And I believe there's 700 right now. It kind of vacillates. It's about 730 that are currently have applied. So we haven't been able to get to we're probably under 100 range, and maybe even under that as of today.
Okay. And,
so the answer is it's open.
It's open. It's open. Awesome. So it's definitely open for those who had the higher income level of up to $300,000. If they had $300,000 in revenue or below, they would qualify for the MEO program.
Yeah.
And do you know if MDDB still has money or was reallocated money?
At this point, I would have to say that they're waitlisted on both of their tiers, which is 300.
Okay, that's what I had heard.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I had heard that as well. Okay. Okay. So that makes perfect sense. But for those who were directly or indirectly impacted by the wildfires, there's a great program to MEO. If your income was $300K or less during the before the wildfires, you can then apply for the MEO program, and they're open. They're open. They've got money right
We're
now.
open.
Don't
We're
wait.
accepting
Tell
that.
your friends to say. Yeah, and for those who are listening in from Lahaina, I hope you're listening in this morning. Please also continue to remind people out in West Maui at the weekly meetings. If you can, let people know. We're going to keep getting the word out. We'll put it out to our chamber e-blast again this week, but want to make sure that we keep getting that word out. So that's phenomenal. We like to hear the programs are still open. It does remind me to let people know that if you were indirectly impacted by the wildfires and we're worried that you missed the May, idle fire application program for being indirectly impacted, which technically was supposed to end in May. We do have till November 9th. That was extended. So we do have till November 9th. So those are for higher business scale, but qualify for the SBA revenue at the time of the wildfires that meets with their NAICS code. So you have to look at what the cap is for small business under your NAICS code. But we do now have an extension on that and have had for a while, obviously from May to now August. But we do have till November 9th to have you apply for loans. So, David, you are also on the front lines helping businesses and working on how to help businesses with work. Tell us about some of the things that you've been doing generally to help businesses at this time. What are some of the things you're hearing about their needs and some of the opportunities that you're seeing, if any, for it?
Sure. So our program, Business Development Center, has had in place for the last 25 years what we call an entrepreneurial business planning course, which is a 5-week course called Core 4 that takes anyone through the process of what is needed, information and direction on what is needed to create a realistic, feasible business plan for any type of concept that they would really be looking to get into, to have, what's needed for the plan, what do you need to do to put this business together to get to the point to be able to kind of have an idea of seeing if the business is really going to fly or not. So what it does is it really helps people who go, oh, yeah, I want to do this business. I want to start this. I have no idea where to go. I've never been in business for myself. I've only worked for other people. I'm ready to do this. And it gives them some help and direction to be able to get the to understand what is needed information for them to make the decision on, is this business, going to be a realistic business, or, do I need to kind of change my thought process up, or what do I need to do to really have the best chance of success? So that's ongoing. These courses, we do them 6 times a year. We just finished one up last week, and we're going to start another series the beginning of September. And we have been doing them in what's called a hybrid format. So they're both, you could attend in person or you could attend online. I think what we're going to do, and the reach of that, and being able to have people be involved and be able to take the time to do it, really was our main goal. And what we're finding is that there's maybe a little more specificity that's needed, and we're going to try and do some that are in-person only going forward and some that are online only going forward. So we're kind of toying with that moving through. But the courses will continue 6 times a year. We do 2 daytime courses, one in the summer and one in the winter, and then the rest are all evening courses, 5 to 7 p.m. So, yeah, super excited. A lot of people go through. We had close to 150 students last year. We're probably on pace for that this year. And this is for all islands, Pam. So Maui County, we have Molokai and Lanai as well. And we have students on all islands that make up that 150. So it's fun. It's needed. And it's a perfect place for someone to kind of dig their feet in and find some good information on what they need to know.
Well, it definitely is. And you've had some amazing stories, both from tremendous graduates who started with this program and have jettisoned forward, as well as folks who said, look, I learned that my idea was, half-baked. We weren't quite there yet, and it really allowed them. I mean, we've heard some amazing stories where they said, look, I decided to scrap that, or they pivoted and came up with something better. And I know that everybody I've talked to who has been through the program has absolutely loved it. Of course, you're so engaged in this and teaching, and people just love you. But they really enjoyed the program and said it really helped them frame how they were moving forward, and especially with new dynamics and changing markets. I think that's so important.
Definitely. And it's super fun to be able to, give the needed information so people can make decisions. But it's very hard to make a decision if you have no idea what the question is, to be able to even pose an answer for that. So the courses really provide so much content and information and real life, real world, what's happening right now kind of information, not just, out of a workbook that we use as well as part of our curriculum. So it really gives people a really good idea on what steps they need to take and how they're going to do it and if they want to do it. So being an entrepreneur is not for everyone. And business, small business ownership on Maui is very prevalent. We have such a high volume of small businesses. It contributes so much to our economy. It's easy to look and go, oh, all these big businesses, all the hotels, all the Home Depots and the bigger businesses, they're the ones who really drive the revenue. And it's actually not the case at all. It's a small mom and pop businesses. And when I say mom and pop, a small business doesn't even become a small business until they're over 100 employees. So we're really talking about micro businesses, 1-2 person, maybe 5 people. That's our Maui small businesses.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. I've been saying that for years, that, and especially, and sadly, and we've seen it recently again with another issue on STRs, is that, as we've been talking about some of the small business losses that could result as we're looking at some of these issues. And we're, trying to look at things holistically, not to say that we don't have to look at the SPRs and look at ways to look at that in conjunction with housing and where they can serve in that way and other options for housing as well. But sometimes we hear people demonize businesses in this community, and they don't realize how small compared to the mainland. Of course, you heard during the Great Recession, big businesses, the mortgage industry collapse and big things going on in an industry, and that's not our world here. We're dealing with these small micro businesses, great people in our community, working hard, putting their own money at risk for the hope that they'll be successful, and putting their own money at risk to provide others with jobs to sustain their families, like the entrepreneurs are trying to do, and sustain their families, their money at risk. And recently I was watching some of the testimony, and people were demonizing small businesses, and they were people who were paid by small businesses and the great citizens of this community because they work in government or they work for nonprofits and they were prayed for by, again, the businesses and citizens of this community who fund their salaries through donations, charitable donations, but only the business sector puts their own money at risk to create a business and then hire other employees and help sustain their families. And I think we really need to help people understand the depth of, one, as you say, the size of these businesses and the scope and the breadth that they mean to this community. We also need to understand how many are intrinsically tied to our one engine right now. And we all need and want economic diversification, but we don't need a landslide of hurt because it takes years to get to the diversified economy. So it's a very interesting time right now, but it's so exciting to hear how many people you're touching. I love, the coming out of COVID. I love the online and, of course, the Zoom and virtual training to reach more people, which you folks have always been on the forefront of doing anyway. So it's great to see that you're reaching so many. Are there any industries that you're seeing taking more, are people wanting to move in certain industries that are taking more advantage of your program to get your businesses started?
That is an excellent question. I can't say that I can pinpoint one specific industry that really stands out. There's such an unbelievable amount of creativity and kind of great ideas that have to get fleshed out to see if there's truly a need for something like that, but not one that stands out. We just finished up, I should say, and this is a grant kind of within a grant, but we did a best business plan competition, and we awarded 8 businesses that went through or 8 individuals, I would say, who went to the Core 4 program, and they submitted a business plan for competitive review. So judges reviewed the plan for all the points that we strive for, which is feasibility, viability, and desirability. And there were 8 winners that actually got cash awards that go towards the startup of their business that they were awarded for. So, across that plane, I would say food probably stood out in different. Okay, I was going to ask about that. Different formats. But the others were kind of, you have healthcare involved. You had some farm business that was involved. So it really kind of run the gambit. It wasn't all down one lane, so to speak. But I will say you just do not see, there's just not a lot of retail. Now, there could be online retail, but overall, I'd say that's probably one segment of the industry that is kind of slowly going away, and we all can see how and why that happens. But it's a very challenging environment to have a retail business or want to do retail, especially brick and mortar, with everything being online now. So, definitely, it's been super fun to work with these individuals and help them put their businesses together, and then to be able to kind of give them a little bit of a financial step up is huge, because that's really what the money was intended for.
Oh, that's phenomenal. Well, I'm glad to hear. One of the reasons I thought maybe food, 2 reasons. One, because we have our spectacular Food Innovation Center at UHMC. So, we've been seeing amazing things come out of there. But also, we had so many new food manufacturers apply for this year's Made in Maui County Festival that awesome. It seemed like an uptick for us. So, yeah, it's been wonderful. Well, David, thank you so much for joining us this morning, but I want to have you tell everybody when your next class is starting in September and how they can get a hold of you for either the class or the grants, how they can reach your program and connect.
No problem. So go to pretty much everything is on our MEO website. So that's MEO Inc. MEOINC.org. You go to programs and services at the top of the page, and the first thing that's going to come up is going to be Business Development Center. You click on that, you're going to get to all of our programs, including the Core 4, all the information, dates of classes, enrollment, that sort of thing. And then, there's different different facets of what we're doing. These grants, the Small Business Bridge Grant and the Micro Agricultural Grant that we're just finishing up, these are separate grants within our program that we administer. Those have different websites to get to. The Ag Grant does not, but the Small Business Bridge Grant does have its own web domain that is an application that should be, if you just Google Small Business Bridge Grants, you would be able to get to that page. And you can call us directly at 249-2990. We're open from 8 to 4:30 Monday through Friday. So that's our goal, is to reach as many Maui County residents that need help as possible.
You're doing an awesome job. Thank you so much, David, for all you do. We appreciate you. And
you're very welcome, Pam.
We'll schedule another one now so we get to next quarter.
Sounds good. Thank you, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. I look forward to it. I know how busy you are. Thank you. Oh, it's always great to have David on the show. He is such a treasure. If you haven't met David, if you're a small business owner, call out and connect with David at MEO's Business Development Center. Again, they're there to help. They're there to offer you some counseling and advice. They also, as we do at the Chamber, but we're so blessed in Maui to have so many great people to refer small businesses to. At different levels, doing different things. We all try not to cross over too much to ensure that that money is being used very wisely in the business arena to send people to the right resources at the right time. But they have great programs going on. That Core 4 is a training program that's coveted, and many of our business superstars came through there. So we're excited this morning. We're going to have Natasha Tucker join us any second now. And Natasha is the National Sales and Distribution Manager for a company called Vitalitea, and that is Vitalitea, like tea, Vitalitea. And she began working with Vitalitea as the National Sales and Distribution Manager in 2021. Her main responsibilities are local sales and managing sales and distribution on our neighbor islands, and with their partner, Hawaii Food Service Alliance, as well as Whole Food stores in Southern California, Arizona, and Nevada. Her background is in hospitality and wine sales and distribution, and she is so proud now to be working for a small business with so much integrity. And she's going to share about that, because we really honestly and earnestly mean amazing integrity in this company that is committed to sustainability, quality, and supporting local. And in her spare time, Natasha and her husband enjoy supporting their local restaurants and food trucks, snorkeling and free diving, and playing with their goofy dogs, and she says surfing badly. So, but surfing, good start. Gary, do we have Natasha on? Oh, thank you. Well, aloha, Natasha. How are you this morning?
Hi, very well, Pamela. Good morning. Thank you so much for having us on. We're so honored to participate.
Oh, thank you. Good morning. It is our great pleasure. We are so thrilled that you could join us this morning, and we are so excited to share the story of Vitality with everybody. I think you're becoming more and more known as you've been doing a great job on distribution. But can you tell everybody a little bit about the company and how it got started?
Yes, so our founder, William Davis, is a very talented home beer brewer. And this was sort of his passion project. He was in search of adding some balance and, a non-alcoholic option to his homebrew lineup. And he wanted something without a lot of added sugar. So you'll notice our products, the only added sugar is naturally occurring in the fruit juice that we add to our product. And he sold his first keg commercially in 2015. He sort of spent the next few years and any, spare time that he had just creating more flavors and developing the process and, really becoming skilled at brewing kombucha. And with the help of, we had an incredible brewmaster, Dave Weikel, and they released their first cans of kombucha and the nitro cold brew as well in 2018. Since then, we have actually purchased a second larger canning line to kind of help with our demand, and we actually just hit 1.6 million cans maybe a week or two ago on that new canning line. So you can see from such humble beginnings of kegs in 2015 to 1.6 million cans just a few weeks ago, how incredibly they've grown the company. We do, of course, still offer kegs. We have keg accounts. Maui Brew Co. is a great example. But, we've transitioned to cans, for their sustainability. They're infinitely recyclable, and just moving in that direction.
I think that's fantastic. Now, you mentioned all these new flavors and the things that we have been doing as he was taking his time to develop more flavors. How many flavors do you now have? And by the way, I love the cold brew. It's phenomenal.
Oh, thank you so much. That's something that we're so proud to be able to expand. We have 6 flavors in our flagship lineup. So we have the original Hoppa Nitro Cold Brew, the Macadamia Nut, the Macnut Vanilla Nitro Cold Brew. We also have Restore, Stardust, Strawberry Sunrise, and Island Hopper, which originally was a seasonal flavor, but it was so successful we added it to our flagship flavors. And then we always have a rotating seasonal to make a 7th flavor. So that would be 5 kombucha flavors total. So our most recent seasonal was OG, which is orange guava, highlighting beautiful Maui-grown guava. And I believe yesterday they just finished canning and labeling our Mojo, which is our current seasonal. And that is raspberry with lime and mint. And it's sort of intended to be a non-alcoholic version of a raspberry mojito. It's very fun, really beautiful, fun, summery flavor.
Do you know when that's going to come out?
We should start distributing that here locally at stores tomorrow.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, this is perfect timing today then. Non-alcoholic raspberry mojito, amazing kombucha drink. For people who don't know, it just dawns on me as I'm saying this, because you mentioned that you've got the 5 or 6 flavors when you've got your seasonal, and then you've got, of course, the cold brew, and that's amazing. But tell people a little bit maybe about kombucha if they're not familiar with kombucha.
So kombucha is a many thousands of years old fermented tea drink. So it uses a SCOBY, which is a sort of symbiotic culture with bacteria and yeast. And you ferment tea, and then we, of course, add our natural fruit juice, herbs, roots afterwards to flavor it. And then we actually use primarily green tea, which helps keep the flavor nice and light and bright, so that those fruit flavors sort of shine through. And it has so many incredible health benefits. Antioxidants from the tea, probiotics, of course, which are so important, we know, for our gut health and the brain-gut connection. And it's just an incredible, I think, because it is effervescent, it's a really wonderful sort of substitute if you're not drinking alcohol for, of course, beer, and then something much, much lower in sugar and more beneficial than something like a soda.
And very distinct and refreshing flavors.
It is. It's a very, very unique flavor. It's very tart, and it does have that, effervescence. It is carbonated, so it's nice and bubbly. But ours is very light. It's not as pungent as maybe some other kombuchas that you may have experienced would be, and that is because we're primarily using the green tea, which helps to keep that flavor nice and light and refreshing.
Yeah, I remember when I first tried kombucha during the Maui County Festival, was one of the very early vendors, and it was a very different flavor. Sort of you had to kind of, I think, have a kin to enjoying vinegar a little bit. It was sort of a vinegary kind of tart thing, and this is not that, folks. It's hard to explain, so you really need to try them, and the different flavors are each so unique, but it's bubbly, it's refreshing. It's fascinating to know that the green tea really helps with that. But just really a delicious drink that you're going to enjoy, that you don't have that sense of that vinegary thing that we sometimes saw in the very beginning, which some people liked and some people didn't. I happen to actually also enjoy that, but it's very different from this. This is sort of a everyday drink.
And yes, it's very different.
Yeah, it's very different from that. Which I think is really important for people to understand, because some people might remember some of the early kombucha that they had, and it's really fascinating that how this age-old process has really been escalated forward into fascinating new products today. I know that one of the things you shared is that you wanted to talk a little bit about, because we've all had some pretty big challenges with going through COVID and of course the wildfires. And I know that you wanted to share a little bit about some of the help that you got and what that meant to you.
Yes. So we are so thankful for the disaster recovery grant, which has included, training to help us weather this slower tourist economy right now and this sort of new normal that I think everyone is experiencing, and to prepare us to navigate things maybe better in the future. And it's something that, has been, we're so grateful, but it's been really important to us as a small business to be able to hear the stories of other people who are in, our similar situation. And it's just such an incredible opportunity for businesses to come together and work together so that we as a business community can be prepared for the future, and to collaborate and network and, hear each other's stories really, and get together so that we can come together as a business community stronger now and stronger in the future, by supporting each other. And again, you have to listen to what other people are going through and get that perspective so that we can all unite and build a sustainable future for our Maui businesses.
I think that was so beautifully said, and I wholeheartedly agree. And also, I find sometimes some of our entrepreneurs who are really struggling, they think they're alone, and they feel like they just feel like they've let their families down with their the investments that they've made, or their employees down, and they're struggling so hard to keep everybody employed and keep moving forward in this down economy. And there's the saying, and I've always hated the saying, but the saying is misery loves company, and that's not really it. But the point is, it helps when people understand they're not alone, and it helps when people can, as you say, come together, bond together during this time, create a shared vision and mission, and say, how can we work together? And you folks have really been an amazing, so I'm sure through this time you've been an amazing support to others you've met, but you've also had that, sustainability, shared mission and vision from the start of your company, looking at how to support each other and collaborate. Can you share a little bit more about how you do that and the businesses that you've been working with and collaborating with to help build your company in there?
So that's something very important to Will Davis, our founder, and to all of us who work for the company, is just continuing to source locally and to support our local suppliers. And obviously we have so many challenges as a small business in Hawaii, and the challenges are those you can imagine and those sometimes you couldn't even imagine. But it's so important for us to continue to support our local suppliers so that we can have a sustainable business model. And we believe so much in helping each other out and collaborating. And a perfect example of that is Maui Gold Pineapple. So they provide the pineapple for our Restore flavor. We purchase the pineapple from them. We turn it into kombucha, and then they circle back and they sell that kombucha at their retail outlet. So that's just such a perfect example. And I know High Spice does that too. It's such a perfect example of a symbiotic relationship where we can support them by purchasing their product, and in turn they can support us by purchasing that finished manufactured product and selling it at their outlet as well.
Well, that is a perfect example, and it makes me laugh because it brings me to the Chamber's business showcase and summer social that we had in July. And one of the things that Maui Gold Pineapple does, and you were there as well, so we had Vitalitea and Maui Gold Pineapple. And one of the things that Maui Gold Pineapple does is they showcase many products made from their pineapple, which is fun to see. So it was great to have you both there. How was that event for you?
Oh my gosh. It is one of our favorite things, is just being able to be in the community and connect with the community. And, we love these, live demos and events, Made in Maui County Festival, of course. Just opportunities for us to, be out in the community and network, and, sometimes collaboration opportunities are presented so that we can grow on that business model of, being able to support other brands. And it's just such a beautiful opportunity for so many local businesses to come together and collaborate. And again, talk story and just listen to each other's stories. And it's just and see so many friendly faces and see what other people are doing. Like, it's so great to go to the Maui Gold Pineapple booth and check out what everyone else is doing with Maui Gold Pineapple and see everyone's creativity. And it's just such a incredible, we're so grateful for the chamber, creating so many of these opportunities for people to come together and mix it up and learn about each other and keep businesses connected. So it's an incredible opportunity. And it's so funny because you were talking about how our kombucha maybe isn't what people expect, and if they've tried a kombucha in the past that maybe was a little stronger than they would have liked. For us, these opportunities to be able to offer samples to people are so fun because we get that all the time. People are like, oh, I don't like kombucha. And you're like, well, you might like to try this because it's probably a little different than you've had in the past. And we always get that same reaction, like, oh my goodness, this is so different than what I've had before. So we love those opportunities, to be able to share our product and have people who maybe ordinarily wouldn't have tasted it be able to.
It really is very true because I just remember years back, it was so new on the market. And the other thing that everybody would have a lot of questions about was, well, isn't there alcohol in this, or, what's the alcohol percentage? So I'm going to have you talk a little bit about that too. But, the early versions were just very earthy, very strong. And
yes,
this is night and day. So night and day.
If you've ever had
strong flavors
made kombucha, those can sometimes have a little bit of a kick.
Yeah.
You drink it now, that'll because it is a fermented product. It's a living product, and of course, the byproduct of that fermentation process is alcohol. So it is for us, yes, very, very important to regulate that.
Yeah, but yours is, this is an everyday drink. This is a drink that you can drink, as a great refreshing drink that is also extraordinarily healthy for you.
Yes. And our alcohol, so the legal limit is 0.5% alcohol by volume, and ours is much lower than that. We test every single batch and make sure, usually, actually, it's so interesting. I had gone to KombuchaCon in San Diego a couple years ago, and it was something, they had a vendor there who had, an alcohol testing system. We thought it would be so funny just to see, after it's made its trek across the ocean and been in, a storage situation that was a little bit different than our controlled storage situation, how close that alcohol would be to what we tested in our lab. And it was basically exact. So
that's great to know.
We're very proud of, because, it does need to maintain refrigeration. It is a living product. And so for us to know that our quality control is such that, when you independently test it outside of our lab, we're seeing those same results. That makes us feel confident that, people can drink this without having any sort of adverse effect. Just the other day, our owner, William, has 2 beautiful children, very young. And, his 3-year-old was drinking a kombucha. So that's something that that makes you feel good about having that product out there.
Yeah. And the flavors are all, I just want to say, so unique and different. Each really
Thank you.
Lovely. But the kind of thing that you're just wowed. I know I'm always laughing because, especially when we've had a chance to help and do some sampling, people will be just wowed by the flavors. But then everybody sort of has their own favorites too. It's like they're all loved. Right. But people will definitely gravitate to a couple of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they really are. And I think, I think our team has done an incredible job of developing flavors that, reach a broad audience so that, we have a little bit of something for everyone.
Yeah, it's great, and it wouldn't have occurred to me, but young and old, everybody, you got the whole spectrum from three on. And you know what I like about that, which it just kind of occurred to me when you said that, which is I wouldn't have given a soda to a child at 3 years old,
Right.
but you could get them this drink, right? This is very different than, like you said, all of that, than those sugary drinks or the chemicals,
Right.
That we're replacing sugar with. This is not that. This is okay to have
Right.
because it's good for you.
Something natural and yes, something beneficial.
Yeah. Well, we were also glad to and really appreciated your participation in our trek to Washington, D.C. in June to share locally made products at Hawaii on the Hill and feature your kombucha as well as your cold brew, both of which were huge hits.
Oh, thank you so much. We were absolutely thrilled to be invited to participate in that event. It was just beyond expectations. Just so amazing, with all of our, challenges of getting things to the mainland, to have our product on the capital, on the East Coast, basically as far as we can get, and have people, sampling our product from here on Maui and, see what us Maui businesses are doing out here was just incredible. It was something so exciting for us. And, we just honored to be part of that and represent our Hawaii small businesses.
Oh, thank you, Gary. Well, Natasha, thank you so much for joining us. We are so proud to have you as a chamber member, to see your company grow and succeed and thrive, and in doing so, work with others and help them grow as they help you grow. So thank you for all you're doing. It's been wonderful to have you on the show. And for all who are listening today, we thank you for joining us for Business Matters. You can share this, if you enjoyed this program, share it with your friends and family. Let them know they can listen in on Fridays from 12:05 to about 12:58. And we wish you a wonderful Maui day and week with blessings and aloha.